Sci-fi Express Lane, Jeff Carroll here. Maybe I should say good morning. Sci-fi writer, filmmaker, comic book creator. That's pretty much it, right? So yesterday I had a meeting with a first-time sci-fi writer, and we got into the conversation, or they asked me, how do I write about places that I've never been? And that's hard because I've been a lot of places. No, it is hard. Like, I've been to quite a few countries and to different terrains, and sometimes matching, sometimes I find places that my stories take me, or that I want to take my stories, that are places that I've never been. And sometimes they're very unlike any place that I've gone. So it is a problem, or it is a challenge. It is an obstacle. It is a factor that you have to overcome, especially if there are people there that you actually expect to read your story. So now you're writing about their neighborhood, their city, and you ain't never been there. So I answered it like this, and I didn't really have, these are all unscripted, kind of off the top of the head answers, because one, I think there's a lot of people that just, do research, do organized answers, and I think sometimes the thought process behind generating all of those answers is missed, and I think that there's a beauty in that. So I like to do my answers organically, straight off the top of the head, without a lot of preparation. Many times I've already thought about it anyway, so it's not totally off the top of the head, but it's not so organized and structured that it doesn't feel organic. Anyway, that said, I don't know how to answer this. I know when I wrote Rashida the Zombie Killer, it was destroying all of New York City. And I don't even know if I've ever been to Yankee Stadium. But I did Google pictures of it. I did Google maps and the layout of it, so I had ideas of what it had. I've been to stadiums before, so that worked out. What else? I had to the Museum of Natural History. I think I've been there when I was little, and so I Googled it, and they have walking tours, so I took a walking tour of it. But that was cool because I know New Yorkers. I've been to the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx. I've been to the Museum of Natural History. It's just I haven't been to the modern one. And so I took, there was a scene in the, one of the final scenes. It's in Rockefeller Center. And I went in depth in that. But, again, I've been, but I didn't go there to study it, to write a scene. So I still had to go on Google Maps, see how things was laid out, look at the pictures, and that helped me. But at the end of the day, I'm from New York area. So, me writing about a block that I've never walked on, or a traverse in Central Park, at the time I wrote it, I didn't even know what a traverse was. So that was regular research for me. Now, in my book, it happened on Negro Mountain. Yeah, man, that was a different situation, because I only heard about Negro Mountain. We was driving, shout out to my friend Glenn Ames, my boy. We was out driving some break dancers. Shout out to Quick Step and Rockefeller. They might even remember it. We was driving to West Virginia for a show, and coming from New York. York, we went through Pennsylvania, and we went through Maryland, and we passed this street sign on the highway that says Negro Mountain. This was like in 95, years before I became a writer. So I just took a tourist photo. On the way back home, I said, we got to stop past this place. So we pulled over on the highway, took a picture next to the street sign, highway sign, and maybe 10 years, 8 or 10 years later, I got the idea to write a story called It Happened on Negro Mountain. I Googled it, found the history, and decided to write a story on it. And I have never been, nor do I. Well, I do plan on going. If I can get, like Ghost Hunters or somebody to take me there, do a show, investigate it, because I found that the mountain was a place where escaped or liberated African from slavery were established the colony, and that they protected the colony, and that's where the name is inspired from, because just like in Jamaica and Haiti, they were able to fight off large amounts of people from the tops of a mountain, and it's like King of the Hill. So they always had this legend, don't go up in the mountain, there's some crazy Negroes up there or whatever, and the name of the mountain stemmed from that. So that's what's sort of inscribed even on the tourist site. So I took my story from there and just was like, yo, the ghosts from the mountain still protect the mountain. Now, people have told me that, they drive across when they lived up in the area. They would drive across Negro Mountain every day to go to work. I don't know if there's people that live up there in Negro Mountain. I don't know if it's a park. And I actually didn't care to learn all of that. However, I made it up, and the story is like a reverse Amityville horror. The story is a ghost that protects the mountain the same way a demon ghost would, but instead of the people being innocent, good people, the story is about bad people. A drug dealer from Baltimore that goes out there to hide out. So that's the synopsis of the story. And I'd never been. So how did I fake it? How do I suggest you fake it? That was my first book to come out, and I don't have anybody coming back and saying, yo, this don't make sense. This is fake. You ain't never been there. Blah, blah, blah. I showed them the picture of me driving past it. That's the closest I've been. But how did I fake it? Well, first, it depends on your story. My story doesn't take place walking through sights and sounds of Negro Mountain. You know what I'm saying? So that part I don't have to do. All I said, they drove up to the house. Well, every house has a road to it. Every house has a driveway. I gave them some corner store references. So if you think of Negro Mountain, you think maybe it's a store up there, right? I gave landmarks, things, but I didn't say on such and such street, on the corner of such and such, name of an exact store, right? No, I didn't give all of that because it's not necessary. The story is a lie. Never happened. So the world is not really fake, but it is fake. I didn't have to recreate a world. I just put a world there, and maybe whatever amount of people that live there, there's 30,000 people, a couple of thousand. All right, maybe they'll see it as fake. Okay, will you take that risk? In my book, Thug Angel, Rebirth of a Gargoyle, I write it in the New York projects that doesn't exist. So I'm not specific about the location. I'm not specific about any of that. Nobody asked me where Front Street is. I took the name from, I think, Plainfield, New Jersey. I think there's a front street in Plainfield, New Jersey. And I moved that into New York. And even at the time when I wrote it, I was like, damn, is it in New York? Is it in New Jersey? I mean, is it, New York, Newark? And I wasn't specific, but I think the story settled on being in New York. Now, outside of the created area in Thug Angel, New York is real. So the other experiences of going downtown, in the village, where they go, Mount Vernon, I think, Queens, I think that's where Tuhut lives. I might have Googled some streets, but I wasn't even specific about that. It's just like a regular movie. You see locations all the time. Ain't nobody telling you where they shot the movie. You know what I'm saying? You just see them walking down the street. You don't know where it is. And they're not that specific. Now, will it pass landmarks from the city? There you have it. But take Bad Boys. They did, I think it's the Julia Tuttle Crossway. They made that bridge seem like it was longer than the bridge in New Orleans. But the bridge is like one little strip. Fast and Furious did a highway that I ride down often, US 75. And they took strips and put it in like they was going to the Keys and all over. And only if you really knew the area did you know that wasn't the area. But movies do it all the time. So for authors to feel so married to a city or to specifics of a city, unless that story is specific across 112th Street. I did, Harlem Shake, the 125th Street fault line. Now, something like that, I got to make sure it's real. But everything else, the dialect of the people, the sights and sounds of the people, how they feel. Okay, if you're dealing with somebody that lives in the city as your character, then you better get a feel of how the people are. I remember, I forgot what book it was. I actually called the library in the area and talked to a library attendant who was really open about the things that would take place in the city. You know what I'm saying? And they talked to me. Oh man, I can't remember what book it was, but I wanted to get a feel for how the people felt. And I talked to the librarian. You can talk to the city tourist department, or if they don't have something like that, they always have sights and sounds. You can call up people that work to the hotels because they deal with tourists all the time, so they'll give you places to eat. There's ways to fudge it. You can get travel brochures, right? Boom, you can call the restaurant up, find out the meal. There's a whole lot of ways, but it all depends on your story, right? And what you feel, or what you know, and what you feel you need to be more accurate. So, wow, this thing filled out. So that's, I guess, what I can say is, going to other countries where they don't speak your language. Is it about? I wouldn't write about certain things. That's the other thing. You get to a point where you're writing a Chinese kid that grew up in China. It starts to be ancient China, almost becomes cultural appropriation. Leave those stories alone. Let somebody else write them. You know what I'm saying? Sheesh. And I know writers feel they can write about everything, but maybe they just don't need to write about everything. A black person writing about a Jewish person in the Holocaust. Leave that alone. Let the Jewish people write that. If it's inspired by a real person, then you got real references. Yo, go for it. And you've been, oppressed, and you got some similarities that you're drawing from. Sure, but I don't know. I mean, writing about space is totally different than writing about a real place. I have Planet Keebalon. There's no need for me to reference anybody here. I'm taking everybody on Earth to a trip to Planet Keebalon, and I'm telling you what's real. However, is based on the fact that there's real gravity, there's real food consumption, there's real human bodies. Anything different from the norm is my responsibility to tell you, the reader, that. So anyway, that's about it. Write in real places that you've never been to. That's probably going to be the title. It's a little long, but I think you'll get it. All right. Touch base with you later. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. Jeff Carroll out. Sci-Fi Express Lane.